All right, and we are live. Let's see how this goes. I'm gonna attempt to do a nice little, what do you call it? Podcast. I'm gonna start a podcast. And what am I gonna talk about? I don't know. I don't know. I think I do know actually. I think I wrote down a few ideas in my handy dandy notebook there. Um, but I want to stick to one subject at a time for the most part. Like, I'm going to be talking about pretty much whatever I feel like at any given moment, but, it's nice to have some guidelines, some guidelines. Um, I'm not entirely sure how the camera thing's going to go. I might even just remove the camera entirely. The camera might not be a thing in the future. Um, but yeah, here we are. Anyway, let's get into the topic that I want to get into, which is probably, which one are we going to start with? I'm picking randomly right now out of the 5 ideas I had. Let's rant about Starfield. Yep. Starfield is a huge disappointment. I know that's probably not exactly a hot take, as a lot of gamers out there are probably with me in this opinion that Starfield has really dropped the ball when it comes to Bethesda titles. Um, Even I thought it wasn't going to be the worst. I thought it was going to be kind of like Skyrim, how Skyrim was really dumbed down, or how I felt Skyrim was really dumbed down for the general populace, which, the business side of me really thinks that that's a good idea because then you broaden your demographic and you can sell as much as you need to as many people as you need to. I think it's a little extreme that they started reselling it, just adding like a few mods with the anniversary and special editions or whatever. I mean, I did switch to the special edition eventually of Skyrim, but it was uh it I would say it's underwhelming because the reason I made the switch was because all the mod authors I loved making their different mod things went over to special edition. So I was like, you know what? I'll join the bandwagon because I can't get these mods to work for the original vanilla anymore. So I made the switch to special edition. Um, Also, I am at work, which is weird. I've been trying to do more and more recording at work, but that means there's always a chance that someone might come in. If that ever happens, I'll try to cut those parts out so there isn't a whole lot of lengthy empty space going on. What was I talking about? Right. Starfield and Skyrim. Yeah, right. So I made the upgrade to special edition for the mods, specifically for the mods. And it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I made my Skyrim all spooky for Halloween. I didn't get to play too much of it because I'm highly distractible, and I was playing on stream, and I just ended up talking for most of it. That's what I did in the I did Jack and Daxter series right before that, where I also talked a lot. I'm starting to become like a just chatting streamer, it feels like, which isn't a bad thing. It's just like I would like to also play the game, but at the same time, I can't just ignore when people are talking to me, and then I also can't just like read it and then leave it. I feel compelled to, you know, give actual insight and value to each comment that I read to see if I can't put something together. Sometimes I can't, and that's when I kind of let it gloss over. But um, when it comes to Skyrim, I did have a lot of fun with the special edition, and that's mostly in part of the mods, like I've been saying. So, what does this have to do with Starfield? Well, Starfield is not like Skyrim. It has no real predecessor other than like maybe Skyrim and and Fallout 4, but I often forget that there was a Fallout 76, that there was an Elder Scrolls Online, and those were not very good titles at all. So I keep forgetting that those were in between the Starfield release. So Bethesda has had a lot of time to grade in their skills and capacities, I'll say. But I was not expecting Starfield to be this bad. It's like they didn't even care. It's like they rushed it out, even though it took like apparently 10 years or whatever of development. I could be wrong on that. I'm not doing many fact checks during this podcast, so if I get my facts wrong, um, I'll probably learn the truth later on. Don't worry about it. Anyway, so Skyrim was decent. I have a love-hate relationship with Skyrim. A lot of the love comes from mods, I'll admit, but I liked vanilla. I'm not gonna lie, I liked vanilla. I think vanilla was okay. It had a lot of cool story moments in there. Some moments were kind of meh, like some of the overarching stories I thought were really meh, but some of those subtle details, those little quests that you could get into, those were a lot of fun. DLCs were great for it. I guess the same could be said for Fallout 4. Vanilla isn't exactly the best, although I think I enjoyed it just as much as Skyrim's when it first came out. But and again, mod support, modding helped that one survive a long way past its lifespan, for me at least. Getting a zombie mod and a companion mod, Brotherhood of Steel, squad up, have a guy on heavy weapons, have a guy, sniping, have like maybe another rifleman. I liked playing the rifleman myself. Just because I felt like medium range, I could really like manage my team. But that's the thing. It's like I kind of wanted that out of Starfield, but Starfield has like not even the same features. It's lacking features that other games have. Like, I don't know if they're expecting modders to just finish their game for them. I don't understand. Like, okay, what I'm talking about is that your companions in Starfield, they do not listen to you. They do not listen to you at all. They don't even have an option to give commands anymore, which pretty much in every game there was commands. Like, you can tell them to wait and follow you, but that's like the most basic command. Like, what's the point of taking on a companion that's like a thief and a good lockpick, or sorry, digipicker, and they can break into things really good? What's the point in having them with you if you can't tell them to pick a lock? It's like little subtle details like that I think really make Bethesda games. Like, I enjoyed it in Fallout 4, although it was a little buggy, and is made better with mods again. But there was a mod called Amazing Follower Tweaks, which lets you have more followers and a bit more control over them, and have them auto relax and like interact with the world as you were talking to NPCs. It was really nice. It's a good mod. But these Starfield NPCs, they don't listen. You tell them to wait even, and you walk away, and you like walk onto your ship or something, and it's like, "Hey, Captain, how you doing?" Like, they don't even wait. Like, I don't know if I'm doing the wait command wrong, but they don't even wait. They just keep moving. Like, they might wait while you're in the same cell. That means like the same location before going in and out of a door, or like before a load screen. That's like a cell typically. I don't know exactly how Starfield does it, but if you leave the cell, it's like the follower just like gives up on waiting and just goes and finds you. So it's kind of sucks, because I like to leave a person at the door. I know functionally, I know mechanically, no one's gonna sneak up behind us, but that's why I like having a lot of followers, so I can leave one person to watch the entry point, or the exit. So I can have, that squad style of gameplay where I'm like, okay, you wait out here while we go in and clear the rest of the building. And like that's standard protocol in my book, but you know, most games don't accommodate for this, so I gotta mod it in. But it's even harder when you can't even have the person wait. And I dread mods, which normally, you know, that's the savior. That's the real saving grace there is the mods, but it's gonna suck because the game is 120 gigs. That's huge. That's a huge, huge game. I mean, okay, you know, I'll take this moment while I'm talking about the size of the game to praise some of the graphics. I don't think it's 120 gigs worthy, but still, these are probably the best graphics I've ever seen from Bethesda. Like Bethesda vanilla, like just what they output, you know, like you can make Skyrim look really beautiful. You can make Skyrim look awesome with ENBs and like texture repacks and stuff like that. I think Starfield looks pretty good. Some high skilled, high leveled like texture artists or whatever out there will probably disagree with me. But I think it looks pretty solid, especially the lighting. Maybe I'm just wowed by my own graphics card. I have a really good graphics card, or not a really good, but I got a new graphics card. It's an AMD. Hold on, let me think. I'm bad with these names. It's a RX. What? I think it's 2800. What do you say that? How do you say that in gamer speak? But yeah, it's got like not RTX, but essentially RTX. I don't know all these terms. I know I'm a huge nerd, but I'm not actually a technical nerd. I know a lot of technical things, and I'm learning at a faster and faster rate, such as like online content creation. But you know, I'm still learning. I built my PC completely from the ground up. But not without some help along the way. From a lot of fantastic friends that you know, showed me what parts are good and what, you know, and over time, you know, you could build a pretty good PC over time. But now I feel like I actually got a goodish PC, even though it's a Frankenstein. With this graphics card, I can't wait to start taking pictures on the new Instagram I made for the Reynard show. Hey there. Yeah. So this is gonna be the hard part about podcasting while actually open. I don't know if I'm going to continue doing it while we're open. I mean, it would be the most time efficient, but it also would be interrupted. It's fine. I can edit these and cut them out. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I don't know if you even will see this conversation, but if you do, hey, how's it going? Anyway, what was I saying? So, Starfield is a huge game. It's 120 gigs, and it, you know, it looks like a really nice game, but 120 gigs is painful for my small SSD. I did just get a 4 terabyte hard drive, but I don't have a SATA cable. Actually, I should probably order one immediately. I keep forgetting my SATA cable, or SATA cable, however you say it. But the cable that connects the hard drive to the actual motherboard, I am lacking one of those, so we're gonna need one. We're gonna need one. What was I saying? Hopefully I don't do that a lot during the podcast. I need to keep a straight and narrow focus. Not entirely. As long as I could pick up on what I was thinking about last time, which was the 120 gigs. That's where I was going with that, is that 120 gigs is just the base game, right? So now we're going to have to get even more gigitude, giggity goo, for the mods. You know, the mods are going to take up easily, like, even light modding, you're looking at like 10 to 50 gigs depending on what exactly you're doing, and that's just making it more and more stressful on these small hardware types that don't have enough space on their rig for Starfield. And for the quality of game, I'm worried a lot of people are not going to make that sacrifice, even for mods, or even with mods. Starfield with mods, they're still not going to think it's worth it because of just how much space it takes on the hard drive. There could be optimization efforts underway. I'm not entirely sure, but I guarantee that's probably happening on the interwebs right now. People trying to optimize it and make the game a bit smaller and run better, and 60 FPS patches or 160 FPS patches or whatever they do, I don't have like a super monster rig like that, but it would be nice to reduce on the the file storage there. I should probably have like a PowerPoint or just like a bullet list of the things I want to talk about. But I wanted the podcast to be a bit more loose. Eventually I do plan on having guests on this podcast, so that would be a lot of fun. Again, that would be hard while I'm at work. So it depends. We might have some podcasts happen here. We might have some podcasts happen somewhere else. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be rigid. That's one thing I'm learning about content creation, is like I really wanted a rigid area that I would just like, okay, this is where I'm gonna do it every single time. And I would still very much like that, and I think that would be great for productivity. But waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for that perfect space, it wasn't coming. It wasn't coming fast enough. So I am just going to do it. Just got to do it. And that's the clearest path forward, is just doing it. So we'll do it live. Maybe one day we'll sediment to a better situation, better recording conditions. But I think right now I actually have a lot more than other people. Like, this mic is pretty good. I have a lot of filters on my mic, which helps it sound better. There might be some ambient sound. There might be like background sounds, like the heater going on, but that's fine. That's something I can't really avoid, but I think the biggest key is to just keep going, is to keep doing it. Keep making content. Make as much content as you can, and good things will happen. Maybe one day. Yeah. Also, full disclosure, with the whole like YouTube thing, I've been dragging my feet on that project. I know I keep saying that I'm working on it, that it's like my number one priority, but a lot of that time was just procrastination, if I'm being completely honest with you guys. Which I think is common too. I try not to beat myself up about it. I think I've met a lot of people on Twitch and online in general that have similar feelings that I do. Like, you're not entirely sure what to do. You don't know how to structure it. You might have the skills and the talent, but there's like a level of perfectionism that's preventing you, and there's so many different factors to consider, but I don't know what it is. I feel like I've kind of reached a certain epiphany or like enlightenment or something like that, where now I kind of get it. It kind of clicks. Hopefully it continues to click, and this isn't some fluke of energy, an energy burst, and then suddenly I'm leaving you guys with nothing again. But I think I was obsessing too much about the job aspect of things, of content creation. I'm like, how do I make this into a job? How do I make this, pay me back for my efforts? And although that's still honestly the goal later on, and even right now, I have plans in place to try and monetize better. But by monetize better, I mean not like robbing the viewer of their hard-earned money, but trying to like provide some kind of value where there's a meaning to the purchases that they may spend on me. Um, so I want to shift focus from like trying to figure out how to monetize, because I found out a million different ways to monetize. Monetization is easy. It's having an audience that will want to, interact with you is the hard part. So, a good way of creating that audience is to provide value, I feel like. So here I am. I'm going to provide value, maybe, maybe not. The podcast, I don't know how much value will be, how much value is going to be attributed from the podcast, but if there is some value attributed from the podcast, I appreciate you. I really do. Um, so yeah, I'm not here to like parade around my Patreon anymore, or like try and do donathons, or those might happen in the future. Who knows? I'm still open to them, but they're no longer like me trying to figure out like how to focus on that. Because you would do the problem with that is like you do this lots of hard work, and if you don't have the audience for it, you don't have a community around you, you're doing it for essentially either A, nothing, or B, a future audience that you're going to build, and then they're going to see it later. Like, who knows how much later? Like a month, 2 months, 3 months, a year, multiple years, 5, 10, 20 years? Who knows? The internet's forever. And also, the internet is not forever. It's kind of crazy. I was looking for some old music that I used to listen to from the from the Brony community, and you would not believe how much is missing, at least from public forums and spaces like YouTube and stuff. Like you can still find a good majority of the classics, but some of the more obscure ones I was looking for are just completely lost to time. And I'm sure that's true for a lot of different like fandom music and stuff like that. Like it's made by indie artists, and who knows, some drama happens with them, and then it gets deleted. Um, so sometimes the internet is forever. Sometimes the internet washes you away like a great big old ocean, grinds you down to sand. Um, but I don't know. I think the internet's pretty great. How did I pivot to the internet? I'm probably gonna segue a lot. I'm probably gonna get distracted and rabbit trail, but it's a podcast, so I guess that's the point. That's the point. I feel like there's no sense in trying to direct a podcast too much. That's why I was only like a PowerPoint or like a bullet point list or something like that to keep like somewhat structured on these podcasts. But also I don't want to like have a full-on script where I feel like I gotta read out a whole speech. But yeah. So what was I talking about? Starfield, right? Starfield. Testing 1 2 3. All right, we've been recording for about 42 minutes. I don't know how much actual content I have of this. So that time I didn't even have a customer, guys. I'm not even, I guess I'm popular now. You get a microphone in front of your face and people think you're important. Man, so I'm gonna be paranoid looking out this window, mostly because a guy just came in, literally just told me outright, like, hey, I was avoiding this place, but then I saw you talking into the microphone. Are you doing a podcast? And I was like, how did he know? How did he know? This is my first ever podcast, and I already got someone coming in, like, I don't know if he wanted to be part of the podcast. He almost seemed like he did want to jump onto the podcast, which could have been interesting, but honestly, like, I don't want to I don't want to take that risk when I'm just starting out, you know? I know what happens on Twitch when you let random strangers have too much power. I mean, whatever he could have done, I could have edited it out. Not that he would have done anything bad anyway, but you know, stranger danger. But yeah, he just wanted to talk to me about whatever I was talking about. So we talked about Starfield for a little bit, but he hadn't played Starfield, and I don't think he didn't look like he played much of any video games, which was a little interesting that he knew I was doing a podcast though. But hey, I guess I'm famous already before my first podcast even comes out. Yeah, that's interesting. That kind of shook me a little bit. All right, what was I talking about? Starfield. Starfield, right? It's bad. Now I'm gonna feel a little deja vu because I was just talking about it with that guy. I'm not sure what I said to him that I haven't said to you guys, or vice versa. Yeah, Starfield is too big. No, that's what I wanted to talk about. People complain Starfield is too big, and I don't think that's the issue at all. Like, you have Elite Dangerous, which is literally a 1-to-1 of our Milky Way galaxy. Like, if you're not sure how big that is, just look up how many stars are in the Milky Way galaxy. That's how many places you can go in Elite Dangerous. All right, that's a lot. That's a lot of places you can go. That's just the stars. It's not each planet you can go to, which, you know, the variancy comes from the actual like simulation of the universe. Like, if there is a planet high in iron, it's going to look kind of green. Like, it's makes sense, you know. I'm not sure if that happens in Starfield, but as far as I can tell, it looks like it's just wherever you scan is going to be the stuff. Before, you could actually like tell by the color of the planet that you were going up to. That wasn't the only way though. You had other methods of figuring out what materials were on the planet, on planet side, but that's the thing. It's like Elite Dangerous is well, in my opinion, a great game. I know Odyssey came out and that gave a lot of weird reactions, but I haven't tried it yet. I might be trying it out here soon with another streamer, Buddha the Fett. It might be interesting. It might not be. I'm mostly looking for the gameplay that I am used to, the spaceship gameplay. Not super excited about the on-foot stuff because apparently that's what they messed up the most. The Thargoids is a weird thing. I'm getting a little off track here, but no, yeah, I don't think Starfield's fault is in being too big. I honestly think Starfield is a good size. I thought that was my first thought when I saw the star map, is that I'm like, oh, this isn't infinite. This isn't super crazy. There aren't like a bajillion stars. There's actually a good number of stars here, and I can see how they could hide different stories all around in those different areas. So I was hopeful at first. The issue, Starfield's downfall, its fault, is the writing. 100%, in my opinion, it's the writing. The writing is so awful, it makes you not care. It makes you not give a single hoot about anything that's happening in the game. Like, the one that got me the closest to caring about anything was the xenomorph, I almost said. Not the xenomorph, even though it's clearly a ripoff of that. The terrormorph, that's it. The terrormorph mission for the UC. That was actually a pretty fun mission, and I feel like that should have been the main storyline quest. Actually, they kind of missed opportunity there. I think that would have been a much better main story than the one we got. Which I don't want to spoil too much, because I guess the game is still new. But here's what I'll spoil. You might not particularly love the ending of the game, but you also won't hate it either. It's just going to feel like something you've seen a million times before, because it is something we've seen a million times before. The writing is so low effort. It feels like that they're just slamming a bunch of sci-fi tropes together and hoping it sticks, like some kind of weird space age spaghetti. trying to fling it at the wall and see if it sticks. Um, which I don't think is necessary at all. They already got like the elements there. They got factions that they could interplay with. And you almost never see the factions interplay. Like you hear about this war that the Freestar Rangers and the UC fought each other, but you only see it in a museum that you walk through. It's like essentially telling the player to like watch a PowerPoint presentation that they get to walk through, and that's where we get the war story from. But then every time you go anywhere, like the Freestar and the UC kind of intermingle in any capacity, they're like bestest of friends. Or for my example, is like my player character is UC, but I can just fly to Aquila City. No problem. I know there's peace treaty or whatever probably going on that allows people to citizens to go to each city and not be shot on sight, but I think it would be a lot cooler if the game did have that, because this is our first time interacting with this faction. It would be cool if the factions got along like later on in Starfield's release history, like whether that's DLC or Starfield 2 or whatever. But like the first one, there should be more conflict. I feel like the writing does not convince me that there was ever a war between these two people. They almost seem more like empathetic and altruistic towards each other than anything else, which who knows, maybe that's a story beat, maybe that's the point. And I'm just missing it, which I suppose is a possibility, but I think it's more in lies with just the boring writing. Because me as a UC guy, I could walk into town and no one even really cares that I'm UC. I could be in full uniform, nothing. Some of the random quests are fun, but they're way too short. The random written ones, I mean, not the random radiant quests. The random radiant quests are so bad. Oh my gosh, they bother me. It's like they totally discourage exploration 100%. It's like, why would I walk around on a planet's surface when I know for a fact after going to one of these locations, I would have gone to them all? That was the problem with No Man's Sky, is like, yeah, it has all these trading posts, these trade outposts, but it doesn't matter if you're on a volcanic planet, a lush planet, ocean planet, it's all still the same place with the same NPCs, with the same dialogue and everything. And it feels that way with Starfield a lot. Dialogue options aren't super expansive either. It would be cool to have like one of the ship dealer guys have a quest, but they're all just these actual NPCs that just dispense ship part or the ship modification menu. That's all they're there for. I like to harken back to Morrowind, where even if you saw a random bandit like hanging out in the middle of the wastes, and if you went you went by them and they'd attack you, like, that's a bandit, kill them because they're attacking me. But then you learn, like, oh, look, this guy actually has a name, and wait a minute, his last name, it matches the same last name as this wife in this town that has a kid. So now I feel subtly bad, or objectively, or just bad. I feel bad because I killed this bandit who was just trying to maybe make money for his family, and that's why he turned to banditcy, which I think is so much better writing, even though nothing had to be written, except for maybe the naming, like remembering that you had a bandit named this, and then you put a citizen with that same name. This is just an example. I feel like Morrowind has done this. I've seen named bandits a lot. I haven't played... actually, I'm not sure if there's actually this specific scenario happening. I know I thought it happened when I streamed it, so, but I could be remembering wrong. But still, even so, that detail would make it so much better than what we get. Like, I had this problem with Skyrim where it's like if you go and find bandits, they're just called bandit. And I mean, I suppose Oblivion had this as well, but Oblivion had a lot less of it, I feel like. Like, you could very well run across a bandit that had a name and then they had a whole story behind them. I mean, that's kind of like what Umbra is. Umbra is just a random bandit, really, that you just run across, and she's wearing ebony armor and has this enchanted sword called Umbra that drinks souls. Like, that's really cool, but who the heck is she? No one really knows, because it's just a person in a cave, or rather, it was a ruin. It was an alien ruin, I think she was hiding in. But, like, that was just a random encounter. Was a super cool, still remembered, and still highly sought after sword quest, Umbra, that, you know, could have been just like a bunch of bandits in there, you know, maybe throw in a randomized legendary piece of loot, you know, it's fine. But, you know, there's not enough of those touches, like, of just like feeling like you stumbled upon something you shouldn't have. Oblivion had that a lot, like, especially with the Umbra thing. Sometimes you would go into a place and there would be vampires, you know, vampires like committing necromancy and stuff on the bodies there, and you kind of like learn their story. And you could even like figure out if they came from a tower originally, and then they were driven into the cave because the tower was taken over by townsfolk, and like, you know, it feels more alive that way. And I feel like they had to do that because they couldn't just shit out 1,000 NPCs and have the game still work, because that's what Starfield does. Is just like, hey, you guys like NPCs, right? Here's 1,000,000 of them. But they're all unnamed. They all say, oh, sorry, I'm in a rush. Oh, sorry, I have no time for you. Oh, sorry, get out of my way, blah, 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 blah. Like, they never actually have any dialogue options. They're just called citizen. So now it's like even the citizens are unnamed NPCs. Like, Skyrim at least had every citizen a named interactable NPC, and then maybe bandits outside the cities wouldn't have names. Now Starfield can't even have named NPCs in their cities. And yeah, there are a few, but it's like, compare that to Skyrim or Oblivion, like how many NPCs you could actually interact with and learn their life and learn their story. You can't do that with any of the NPCs, at least the nameless ones, or even the named ones. There's this kid in the beginning of in Starfield, when you get off the ship onto New Atlantis. There's this kid and like 2 other people arguing with the UC security there or something like that. And this kid, for some reason, just lives at Terrabrew. He just lives at Terrabrew. Like, I go there occasionally to roleplay that I'm getting a morning coffee for my job that I work at the UC. The Vanguard, like, right before I go fly out on my adventures, like, I'll have a cup of Terrabrew. You know, I'll get the latte or whatever. But every time I do, I walk by this kid who's just been standing there for eons, ever since I first got to the UC spaceport. This kid has walked from the place that I met him to Terrabrew and is now standing next to the register in perpetuity. Forever. Like, he won't move, he won't do anything. I talk to him and he's like, hey, I'm a kid. Remember me? And I'm like, yep. Why are you here? Why are you doing the things that you do? Don't you go home? Do you have parents? Like what? Like, go home, you know, but they can't, because, you know, I remember and miss the days of Bethesda coding where, like, Radiant AI, like, now we call them Radiant Quests, like the random quests that happen, like, oh no, my brother fell down a hole and now he's in that cave over there. It's just like a randomly generated quest. I keep hitting the mic, I'm sorry. I don't know if you can even hear that, but I'm doing it. No, yeah, it's the Radiant quests. Radiant AI was invented in Oblivion, I believe, to have NPCs live a life of their own, and have them like travel from home, sleep in their bed, wake up in the morning, maybe have breakfast in the morning, and then leave to go to the arena or wherever their plan was, whatever their story was. And they would have a schedule, and like, you know, some quests even led into this, where like you would have to catch someone as they were going home, so you'd have to like wait until 6 o'clock because they went home at 7, and then just prowl the alleyway while they get closer, you know. Like, that stuff is really cool. I haven't had time be a question in Starfield yet, I don't think at all. Probably because no one is really a Radiant AI NPC. Like, how many NPCs in that game are actually fully coded out Radiant AI? Like, how much? It's probably not many. Sometimes you see people walking around, but like most of the time, like whether it's day or night, those named NPCs do not have a life. Like, I know the UC Vanguard guy, Commander Tuula. I'm messing that up. But yeah, he stands there all day. That's just his life. Same with the kid at Terra Brew. Same with the Terra Brew customer service rep himself. That would have been a cool detail. Like, you got all these random NPCs walking around. I can't imagine how hard it would be to have like just like a little attention to detail to like swap out the NPC. Like, they would have to change clothes and change their pathing. Like, I feel like that wouldn't be too hard. If it doesn't sound hard for like a modder to do, it shouldn't be too hard for Bethesda. Then again, I don't have too much of a grasp of how much work it goes into making some of these mods or making a game in general. I'm just a critic. I like getting mad at this stuff. But it's more like anger in like kind of like a loving parent kind of way. Like, I really want Bethesda to succeed because I really do enjoy their game genre style, their style, I guess. Like, Oblivion I fell in love with. Morrowind I think is great. Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, you know, even Fallout 4 I think is fun. Skyrim I'll even maybe, yeah, if I'm gonna give Fallout 4 a pass, I'll give Skyrim a pass as well. But Starfield, not so much. Starfield has been really disappointing. I gave it 2 tries so far. Once when it first released, and I got so disappointed in it that I uninstalled it because I needed the space to install other games and stuff like that. Because I need to install my hard drive, like I was saying earlier. But no, yeah, I tried it again, and same thing. Like, I couldn't give two poops. Do I have to censor myself here? I don't know. We'll figure it out later on. Better safe than sorry for now. Yeah, I couldn't give 2 shits about any of the quests. I couldn't give 2 shits about any of the quests. Like, even the quests that I think would be interesting to me in Starfield aren't interesting to me at all. Like I said, the Terramorph one was fun, but that kind of ends pretty quickly. That's the thing, is like the UC is a faction. The faction quests are like think of the faction quests in Skyrim, for example, like Skyrim's Mages Guild, or Skyrim's Skyrim's Fighters Guild, or the Companions, you know, like that has werewolves in it, and like, you know, there's some cool quest lines in Skyrim that are like faction quests. The UC, you basically get a follower. You get access to hunting terramorphs, I guess, as like a Radiant quest, which I'm sure that won't get boring. But yeah, the whole game culminates to being essentially go here, shoot this guy, or go to space and blow up this ship. And that's all the quests there are in Starfield. I have yet to encounter a quest where it's like actually making me think or actually enjoy the story. There's very little of those. Very little. Like the UC one, I was listening to the dialogue of when people were talking. I'm like, what is going on with these terramorphs? This is interesting. Wait, how do they reproduce? Wait, what is going on? Like, that's when I was interested and I was engaged in the story. But all the other quests that I've encountered are so like mind-numbingly boring because of their writing and because of their premises that I just don't want to do them. Like, and the thing is like, I know what their reward is at the end. Like in Skyrim or Oblivion, or like there might have been some super secret sword that's some ancient, hero's blade, and now you have it, and now you have this super enchanted like flame sword or something that's super neat. Um, like Fallout 4, not exactly a legendary enchanted sword, but like the shish kebab, it's a katana mixed with a flamethrower. Like that's cool. And that's just an item that you can find during one of the quests. In Starfield, you can always guarantee that you're going to get a randomized piece of loot. And that's it. And it's going to come off of the dead body of the guy that you had to blow up or shoot. Um it's never going to come in some fancy way. Oh, I will say the whole Mantis quest was pretty neat. It was like Space Batman, but it also ends very quickly, and there's not too much incentive to really be the Mantis. Um, I would say, like, yeah, like spacers are scared of you, but it's like, there goes your EXP. Right? Like, if all your EXP comes from like shooting and killing guys, having the spacers all leave the moment they see you, that's like an entire faction of EXP that you can no longer harvest. So it's from a gameplay standpoint, not the best. I became the Mantis in every fight that I wanted to build up my rank and start blowing up ships, because one of the perks, oh, that's another thing. It's the freaking perks. Oh my god. One of them's like leadership, and that's a master level perk. So before you can take more than like 2 people on your ship, you need a master level perk, which is ridiculous in my opinion. Like maybe a first degree, second degree perk, but like master tier perk, like why? Same with shipbuilding and everything. It's like that should be more combat based. Like me building a ship and buying better parts isn't tied to my skill. It's tied to my wallet. Like if I want a bigger and badder ship that has more rooms on it, like that's what I thought originally. I'm like, oh, maybe I just need more rooms. So I kept putting docking, like more and more living spaces on my ship. And I'm like, I have like enough room for 7 people, like 8 people. Why are they not getting on my ship? And then that's when I realized I needed a freaking perk to do it. Like, what does shooting guys have to do with what does being good with my rifle have anything to do with having like rooms I can rent out, Have a crew actually be on the ship that I have space for them on, it's ridiculous. Same with like ship parts. Like if someone has like, it would have been a lot better, instead of locking and hiding the ship parts from me at regular docks, is how about you have one of those far off stars that's hard to get to? Maybe not too hard to get to, because, for the thing I'm about to say, but like maybe there's a mechanic there, some super special ship mechanic legend that can put modifications on your ship, or, put those special parts on there. But at a price, like you have to have a lot of money for him to do that for you. Having it tied to skills is so lame. So lame. So ridiculously lame. Gosh, that bothers me. I'm sitting here fuming now. This is all this podcast is just me complaining and ranting about Starfield. I wish it was better. But I believe this is all the time I have for this podcast. I'm a little over my work time. So I'm gonna have to pack up and get going home here. I will review this footage probably tomorrow and see if it's good, if it's usable, whatever, edit it down, and hopefully will be posted by tomorrow of the day that I'm recording this now. Yep. All right. See ya.